Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Let's get right into this show. Folks, got a big recruiting update. The Vols are in on multiple 5-stars. Also, Dickey hit a grand slam in the Kentucky game today and led them to victory. So we got a lot of good positive news out there right now. Like I said, we're in on a bunch of 5-stars, so I'm pumped about that. But I'm glad to see the Vols, baseball Vols, are kind of getting things turned around. You know, they had the 7-game win streak, and, of course, they swept Vanderbilt, which was awesome. And then they lost 2 out of 3 to Alabama, but have come back and won 2 already from Kentucky, and hopefully they'll sweep them tomorrow. Now we're going to, but let's start out with recruiting first. I think we got a lot of momentum right now. You know, the Vols are kind of the sexy team right now. The offense, the crowd, Neyland Stadium, just everything that you can think of, and winning. You know, you go 11-2. And all of a sudden, you're kind of a big dog, especially when you got ranked number 1. At one time, we were 8-0. And, of course, taking down Alabama was huge. I think everybody in the country enjoyed that, except, you know, down there in Tuscaloosa. But anyway, let's take a look at our recruiting right now. We are in on a bunch of 5-stars. You know, you start out with Williams Winery, and he's out of Missouri, and he is we're kind of in the lead for him. And he's the number 4 player in the country, number 1 defensive line, kind of an edge rusher at 6'5", 250. And I feel really good about that prospect. Then we've got Mike Matthews. Man, we need to get this dude so Georgia doesn't. I'm telling you, this is the prime example of what Georgia has in the secondary. They've got these guys like Mike Matthews that are 5-stars that are just so difficult to deal with for receivers, running backs, all of that. They just cause havoc. And we could really use this guy. Even if he's a receiver, that's fine. He's going to be great at either one of them. He's a top 10 player in the country, and we need to start beating Georgia out of some of these players. And it's not going to be easy because he's from Georgia.
Logical.
The same thing with Sammy Brown. He's a linebacker, number 12 in the country, number 1 linebacker, that is, and number 12 total nationally. And that's another guy that's out of Georgia. It's going to be really tough. And if you want to know why Georgia has such great recruiting, when you've got 5-stars right down the block, everywhere you look, you bump into one, that makes it really easy to recruit because they grow up watching Georgia and, oh, you know, that's their team. Just like I grew up wanting Tennessee to win. And I wound up playing there. So, in golf, not football. But anyway, it makes it tough, and we're going to have to start beating out Georgia for some of these players. We used to do it all the time. When Fulmer was here, we would get players out of Georgia, but Georgia got good. So that creates a problem. All right, Edric Houston, again out of Georgia, another 5-star defensive lineman. We've got to start winning some of these battles. Ryan Wingo, he's out of Missouri, top 25 wide receiver, 5-star. We have gotten a crystal ball prediction on him to come to UT, so that's certainly a possibility. I will tell you, I'm less concerned about getting 5-star wide receivers and running backs, even though that would be awesome to do because we'd be even that much more difficult to stop. But the biggest places that we've got to keep getting 5-stars, number 1 is quarterback, of course. That's critical. But number 2 is edge rushers. You know, we need to put pressure on their quarterback, and I think that's why Heupel's been so focused on getting edge rushers and trying to load the boat like he did last year with Caleb Herring, with Chandavian Bradley, David Hobbs, all those big-time edge rushers, because I think as a quarterback, he understands that the worst thing that you can do to a quarterback is put pressure on him because that throws him off of everything, and it doesn't allow him to calmly do what he needs to do. So I think that's why there's been a lot of emphasis on edge rushers for Tennessee. Here's another edge rusher, Elijah Rushing out of Arizona. We certainly have a decent shot at him. He's warm on the Vols. All these guys are warm on the Vols. There's Jarrett Gibson. It would be wonderful to get a 5-star running back. I don't think it's absolutely necessary for us because our offense creates space, and we can have a 4-star running back and do just fine. But if we had a 5-star running back, we'd just be that much more dangerous.
That's right. Nice, man. I am dangerous.
Here we've got another edge rusher, Jordan Ross. And again, we're trying to load the boat. Here's Camarion Franklin. I believe we just got a crystal ball for him or a prediction. Yeah, and it says right here on 3, and they're calling him a 4-star. One place has him as a 5, another one has him as a 4, and said we're trending for the Vols. And we've got, according to the prediction machine, a 76% chance of landing him, 6'5", 260. Rodney Garner's, of course, recruiting him, and I think that's part of the recruiting success that we're having. I think there's a ton of respect for Rodney Garner as a defensive line coach, and he seems to really be doing a great job there. You know, a lot of people don't realize how much better we are against the rush after 2021 where we couldn't stop anybody. 2022, we were stopping people on the line. They were not running the ball against us. They passed like crazy against us. And we've done a lot of things to help with that. Besides the edge rushers, you know, we got 5 defensive backs plus a transfer portal guy that was a starter at BYU, Gabe Judy Lawley, to go along with these other recruits. So, you know, there's a ton of emphasis being put on the defense because if we could stop the ball, we're going to be that much more dangerous. They're talking about Franklin's combination of side speed and raw athleticism. I tell you, if we can just keep stacking these edge rushers, man, that can make such a difference in the ball game. If you sack a guy or cause a fumble, strip fumble or whatever, and it can also lead to interceptions. They've got him number 36 in the country overall, number 1 player in Mississippi, and that's going to be, you know, we've got to beat out Ole Miss with old Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin. He's always been a thorn in our side. But hopefully we'll land this guy. Then we can take a look at Jaden Riddell. He is a tight end. That would be a real nice pickup to go along with our other tight end that we've already got, which is Jonathan Eccles. So the Vols are trending in the right direction on all these 5 stars. And it seems to me that what they're trying to do is get some really good quality players, 3 and 4 stars, but then dot it here and there with a 5-star and these difference makers, and then just stack them class after class. And then before you know it, in 2 or 3 years, you've got 8, 9, 10 5-stars on the team that can really create havoc. And then, of course, if you've got your 5-star quarterback or a fantastic quarterback, along with this offense, we become really nasty to deal with. And that's what I want. I want these other teams worrying about having to play us. And wearing out the teams we need to wear out. That's the other thing that really Heupel's done a great job of. Yeah, we lost the South Carolina game last year, but every other game we wore it out, especially the teams that we were supposed to beat, like Alabama. Oh, crap. They won't like that at all. And here's a story about Dickey's Grand Slam helps keep Tennessee baseball ahead. This is by Eric Woods, assistant. Here's Eric Woods right there. Let's see. It says Tennessee baseball weathered a Kentucky comeback. They were way ahead. I think it was like 8-1 at one time. And they wound up winning 10-7. And Dickey's Grand Slam in the 4th inning was a huge part of it. And with that win, let's see where we are in the standings. Vanderbilt's still number 1. We are tied for 4th. So we've picked up a place. We were in 5th place. If we could win tomorrow and sweep them, we'd jump in front of Kentucky and end up in a statistical tie with South Carolina if they did lose a game, which South Carolina's lost 5 in a row. Let's see, I believe. Yeah, they've had 5 losses in a row, and we've won 2 in a row. No, 3 in a row, but only 2 in the SEC. So we're continuing to move up in the SEC, and that's good. Let's see where we're nationally ranked. Let's see. This is through May 7th, though, so we've got a couple more wins on top of this. I think we're 35-16 because I don't think it counts those last 3 wins. So we're probably in the top 20 for sure. So it's good to see the baseball Vols turning this season around. We had such a terrible start. You know, at one point we were 5-10, then we wound up 12-10, then we were 12-12. Now we're 14-12 in the SEC. So they've kind of turned the season around, and they're starting to become a little bit more dangerous to deal with, getting their bats kind of hot at the right time. So hopefully they get hot going into this tail end of this season and make a nice run in the NCAA. Maybe they'll get in the World Series somehow. We've seen it happen before with teams that you didn't expect it. So maybe we'll have a nice run. You never know. You need a lot of luck in baseball. It's a very, very fickle game. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know to continue to cover the Vols and the baseball team, football team, obviously, basketball, all that good stuff. And right over here on your right, my left, is the little subscribe button. Just hit that little button. I would appreciate it. Costs you nothing. Helps me out. Just takes you 1 split second. And right over here is my most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll love. Be sure to check that one out, and we will see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.